Hello and welcome back to another video. So in the last video that I created, we spoke about the prerequisites that we'll need in order for us to build an e-commerce website. Well, this is going to be part 2 of the series because in this video, we'll be looking at the color palette, the logo, the typography, and we'll use ThemeForest as a place that will take inspiration from the pre-existing templates that are available that you can purchase. We won't purchase one, we'll use it as a guide for us to then put a design together so that we can then build that e-commerce website. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's head over to Adobe Color. So you can type in search and it should usually be the first search result, which is the color palette generated by Adobe. So there's a few options that you can choose. I won't go into detail with it, but by all means you can explore the website in your own time. But the two options are create. So under create, you can either choose an option that will provide you with some preset colors, or you can upload a file. For example, if I uploaded a picture of myself, it will automatically pick some color variations for you, and you can change in the options on the left. We probably won't use this as part of the build much, but later on when we start building the e-commerce website and we can come back to this, and it will allow us to use this to help us choose the appropriate colors for gradients. So the gradient, if you don't know what that is generally 3 or 4, however many colors that you want, but it provides this effect that fades from one color to another, as you can see here. The fourth thing within this section here is the accessibility tool. Now, this is quite important because it is a tool that allows you to see if your colors are compliant with the website requirements for disability or accessibility. And we'll use this in a bit. Once I've chosen a color palette, I'll come back to this and we'll just test to see how that color set performs when we put it under this tool. So let's head over to explore. I do have a color palette already in mind, but as you can see, when you're in this section, there is already preset colors. So by all means, you can have a look at all of the different colors that's available here, and you can pretty much get lost in it too. So I'm just gonna scroll down until I find the right color palette that I like. This one here. So essentially with this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy the colors from here. I'm gonna use a tool called Figma, which will allow me to store the different aspects of the style guide that I'll use as part of the e-commerce build. So you don't need to use Figma. You could use a different tool. You could use Word doc. You could use a notepad. You could write it down however you want. But for me, I'm going to use Figma, and by all means, you can use it as well. So Figma is actually a free tool. So for example, if you go to figma.com, you could sign up for a new account. And allow you to use the same features as me, which is underneath here. I won't go through Figma, but it's just another tool that I'll be using as well. So heading back to the color palette, I mentioned we're gonna save this color. What you can do is if you hover your mouse over here and click on it, it will take you to the color palette that you've chosen or I've chosen here, and you can see that there's different codes. So if I were to use Figma, I'm using their presentation feature, and I've already set up a few slides which I used in my previous video, but I'm going to create a new slide. It's just a black one. I'll just copy my logo over. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a square, and this will make sense in a sec, but this first square, we'll just leave it as that, and I'm going to tap back to the Adobe color, and if I hover my mouse over the very first color, I'm going to copy this, come back to this, I'm going to paste it in here. Once I've pasted in here, I'm just going to click out of it and then click back into that square, and on the right you can see that that's the color of the current square. But if I click on it and choose this color wheel, I can paste that same color that I've copied from Adobe Color, and if I hit enter, it will change that square into that color. I'm going to copy that square, and I'll just go on ahead and do that for the rest of the 4 remaining colors in that color palette. So just bear with me while I do this. Now the reddish, oh, I think I should have. And the last color, oh, I did it again. There you go. So now that I've copied the 5 colors from this color palette, I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. Kind of center this. I think maybe if we group it, we can then use this. Sorry, group. There you go. I'm going to also add a title to this, and we're going to use this, come back to that, and change this to the color palette. So essentially what I'm doing here is, if you haven't worked this out, is I'm starting to build out the style guide for the website. So the very first thing that we'll cover off, obviously, like I mentioned, is the color palette. So we've used Adobe Color to define what the 5 sets are. So the other thing we'll use Adobe Color for is, if we can head back to create, we're going to use the accessibility tool. Now, as I mentioned before, it allows us to see if we're compliant with the Web Accessibility Guidelines, which is the WCAG. I think that stands for Websites, Content, something, WCAG. I haven't looked at this for a while. It's the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, so what I just mentioned before. So essentially what it does is it looks at whether the color sets that you've chosen, for example, in this example that we're seeing now, the yellow and this green, if you're using font sizes for regular text that are 17 points and below, then this is essentially failing because it might be too hard to read for people that have a disability. If you're using 18 points and above for large text, then it passes. Or if you're using 14 points for bold and above, then it also passes. For web components like shapes, buttons, then it passes. Arrows, etc. So it passes. So those are the components. So what you can also do is change or swap, reverse the color set. So making the green the text and then the yellow the background color. And you can see that although it is relatively bright for the background, but same again for large text and graphical components it passes, but for regular text where it's 17 points below, it fails. So what I'm going to do is use the color set that I've copied across into Figma, and we're going to see if some of the colors will pass or fail. We have that red color, so I'm just going to copy that red color. And if we go back to this as the font color or the text color, press enter. And if we go back to here, we use this, right? So this one here, we can copy it. They both fail. Even if you swap it, yeah, it fails because the contrast of it is somewhat a little bit hard to read. So you probably want to try maybe a darker color. Maybe we can try this one. So for larger text and graphical components, that would work. So we could possibly use this in a hero. Now for smaller text, I think we might have to change the color. We probably won't be able to use that. But how about if we try this one? It all passes. If we use this on white, white is generally, I think it's this F, it fails. So you probably have to use a darker color. Which passes. So if I was to use a white background mainly for the website, then I can use this, so more of the darker colors rather than the lighter colors, because they would fail. So that's how you kind of use the accessibility tool from Adobe Color to work out which colors will pass. So what we're going to move now across to is, let's look at the typography while we're looking at the color palette before we jump into the logo. So with typography, what we're going to do is look at two websites. The first one is Google Fonts, and the other one is called fontpair.co. We'll look at fontpair.co after, but let's head over to Google Fonts first. So if you type in Google Fonts, so this is one of the platforms that I would refer to for fonts. They used to have the functionality where they will show you how to pair fonts together when you're choosing typography for your website. Google removed that ages ago, but there is another site which I'll show you, which is called fontpair.co, which will show you what pairs work with, what font pairs work well together. So again, if you want to explore Google Fonts, you can go through all the different font families that they have available. There's quite a lot. Generally, I use more than often the Roboto version with another pair, and the other one is Open Sans, because they're very modern, very simplistic as well, and they work really well in design. So let's open up another tab and go to fontpair.co. So fontpair.co shows all of the different pairings that work well together. So if you click on pairings and scroll down, you can then start to see what pairs work really well together. For example, this DM Serif display works with the DM Sans, and you can see the difference in it. And the reason why you want to choose a pair, for me anyway, I think it separates the section titles with the paragraphs or the content itself. It makes it look more professional, more clean, and you can differentiate between a title and a paragraph much easier, as you can kind of see this example here. But if you scroll down, there's quite a lot of pairs that you can choose from. This is a really common theme here, the Oswald and the Source Sans Pro. So a lot of websites you'll come across will use this. Same with the Montserrat, and also the Barlow Condensed as well. So there's really nice pairings that you can choose from. And here's the Roboto one. So the Roboto one, it uses the Roboto Condensed and the Roboto. So a much more thicker font versus a much more lighter paragraph font. So yeah, so have a peek at this, or you can explore this. Choose the right typography pair for your website. More than likely, I'm probably going to go with the Roboto Condensed and Roboto, just to keep it really simple for the website. Let's go back to Figma, and I think maybe in typography, we'll duplicate this slide. Just move that down here for a second, and we'll type in typography, and we're just going to put in another text. Okay, and let's go back to Lorem Ipsum, and what we're going to do is just remove the spacing there. Okay, actually what we'll do is H1, we use H2, actually H1, H2, oops, H3, probably won't go any further than H4 if we needed to. Then we'll have the paragraph. So we'll use this for now. We may come back to it later and add a bit more, but essentially what we'll do is we'll change this to Roboto. Text style, new style, show more options. Here we go. Roboto. Here we go. Got it. Roboto. So we've changed that to Roboto. This is going to be our heading 1. Change this to heading 2. Heading 3. And we've got okay, let's just stick with 3 headings actually, and then we use this as the paragraph, which is the body, but we'll change the body to, I think, size 20 points. Let's see how that turns out later on when we use it, but this one is going to be, we'll follow this size 60 points, and then we can change that as we're building later on points. So when we start to build out the e-commerce website, if it starts to look a little bit too big when we're building it, then we'll downsize it. So heading 2 is going to be 48. $36. I actually think that this is probably going to be a little bit too big, but we will find out. Let's change this to 100% to see what that would look like. Yeah, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. It's not too. I think maybe paragraph here might be a little bit too big, but change it to 20. Yeah, I think 20 points for paragraph. Yep. Is gonna look a lot better. I think so. All right, so we've got the color palette. We've used the color palette in Adobe Colors accessibility tool to work out and think about how we're going to use some of the color set. So what will work and what will pass for accessibility. And then we've also looked at the typography. So heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and the paragraph. So we're going to move over now and look at Canva, and we'll use Canva to help us choose a custom logo. So I have a Canva account. You can use a free Canva account if you wish, but what that means is if you don't have a paid subscription, you won't be able to access the premium themes or templates that are available within Canva. When I say theme, I don't mean the theme for the website. There's certain themes within Canva from a design perspective that requires the premium subscription in order for you to use it. So you can check out the different plans under here. I have the Pro, but you can get away with the free version as well. So check that out. If you want, create an account there if you like. If not, well, you need to create an account anyway for you to be able to do what we're going to do next, which is choosing a custom logo for our website. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. So once you're in Canva, I've logged in, but it's taking me back to the pricing page. So I'll just get back into Canva. Once you're in Canva, there's different functionality within the tool itself to allow you to choose a logo. You can see that I've done a couple already, but I haven't finalized a logo yet. So what you want to do is search for logo. And when you search for logo, you can see that it has 20,000 templates that you can choose from. So remember what I said, if you don't have a paid subscription, then you can't access all of them. And to identify whether you've got the right template, or sorry, the right template that you can use if you've got the free version, is this tag here, the Crown and Pro. So obviously with that, you won't be able to customize this unless you have the paid subscription. You'll have to look ones like these where it doesn't have that tag. That means you can definitely customize that. Kind of like that. That was in that red as well. Yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna keep it really simple, and I'm just gonna use this one and just go retro. That was cool. Video games, it's not too bad. It's actually not too bad. Just to make it really simple, retro video. Let me put a dot there to retro. Yeah, we'll do retro. Do video games. What I'll do as well is, let's go back to Figma, and we're going to use one of the colors here, and we'll change that background to this, and we'll just make sure that it's got the right colors. And we'll change that to this one here. Yeah, I'm liking that. That looks really nice. We'll use that same color. Yep. This color here we'll change to this, but we're gonna inverse this and maybe we'll use this instead. So just to make sure that that works as well, I think for larger text it will probably be all right. So we'll change that, and we're just gonna go back to Adobe Color and do the same. So we've got that lighter color there, and I think if we do this, it fails even as a background color. Interesting. So maybe if we try this, it fails. I think the background color is too bright. Yeah. So we won't be able to use this red on that. But if we go back to Adobe Color and swap it, does this work? Nope. Nope. Color suggestions. This is the darker one. Okay. So it's saying if we were to use the dark, if there's a darker red, for example, that will pass. But we don't have a darker red. Yeah. We don't have a darker red. We unfortunately only have this red here, which I won't change the color for the sake of it. Or otherwise this one here, which we're already using here. So maybe if we change this color to this, that looks good as well. Actually, it doesn't look too bad, right? It's just an inverse usage. So let's go back to Adobe Color. We reverse that. Oops. Go back to Figma and use this color. That should pass. Yeah. For logos and stuff. So I think that's fine as well. I think this would be nice. So there you go. So now we've got this. We won't export it. We'll just keep it in the account. So just to recap on what we've done so far, we've picked a color palette. We've so far played around with the color usage using the Adobe Color Accessibility Tool Checker. And we've worked out right now what some of the color variations that we'll use that will pass on certain elements, like the regular text, the large text, and the graphical components. We've also looked at the typography, so we're using Roboto as the typography as the main font, and we've looked at the heading 1, 2, and 3, and also the paragraph and the different sizes for it. And then we've also got the logo, which is pretty cool. We'll crop this later on, and we'll use that if we have to. We might have, maybe we'll duplicate this, and let's see if we use this on a white background, whether it will work. Yes, it will. I think it will. Let's go back to Adobe Color and just make this white. Yeah, definitely will. So we've got a version of white as well on here. And then now the last part is looking for the appropriate theme that we're going to use. So we're going to head over to ThemeForest. If we just type that in, it should be the first result. Now we're going to use, because we're using Elementor, we're going to go over here to look at the themes. And if we look at the best rated, we're going to need an e-commerce site though. So we'll use the left side to look at WooCommerce. So if you don't know what WooCommerce is a plugin that is for WordPress, which is for e-commerce. Sorry. My mouth was just getting dry. So let's pick 4 stars. So, and for Elementor Pro. So we've got these options here, Elementor, Elementor Pro, and WooCommerce. And we're looking for the 4 stars and higher. So what that does is it filters the themes that are highly rated. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, but then it's the same as everyone else. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're only going to use it as inspiration, and we'll design that based on our color palette and the topography and our logo. So essentially we'll customize it to look like our own. But for the gaming one, what we're going to use is, let's have a look at a few. I think the best one at the moment is this top rated one here. A lot of people use this. So if we go on to live preview, let's have a look at e-commerce one. Read reviews, popular categories. Let's have a look at this one. What does this look like? Yeah, not really what we're looking for. So 2. Yeah. Not really. It's not really an e-commerce one, is it? So let's go back. WooCommerce, WordPress. Let's also give this one as a type e-commerce. Four stars, just make sure that, yep. So let's have a look. The Electro. Have a look at Electro. This is very e-commerce-y, isn't it? Which I think will do nicely, actually. We've got this one here with this hero with a banner here. Looks like it's got a sliding. Just keep it simple. I think this one's good. This one's not too bad. Kind of like this one, actually. It's a nice one. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, this is relatively nice. I like the font sizes here. Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll pick this one here. what we're going to do is we want to make sure that we always come back to this. So again, let's go back to Figma. Just going to duplicate this slide and we're going to copy and paste this theme there. Just change that color. This is going to be the theme that we're going to use. This is the theme. Let's go back to the theme and have a look at the product pages. So this is going to be the home page. So we've got the hero, sorry, this is the hero here, and then we've got the heading. There is a slider, so there's only 2 at the moment, but that's fine. Oh, there's a dark version. Oh, this will work well, I think, because you can see that we've got the electro similar to our logo here. More of a darker look and feel, which I think is not too bad. So we've got the hero, we've got the heading or the navigation. This is the drop down. I think that will work pretty well. And then we've got different pages. So let's have a look at a product. Let's have a look at the product, what that looks like. So this is the product page. Latest product, accessories, description, reviews. So this template allows accessories to go with this scooter, related products, okay, description, yep, this is the search, scooter. There's no predictive search for it, but that's okay. So essentially we'll use this template to build out our e-commerce website. We'll use that as an inspiration, like I mentioned. We won't use all of the elements, but most of the elements that's here or the design that's here we'll definitely use. So that's it. So pretty much just to recap the video, we've picked a color palette. We've played around with the colors to make sure that it works for accessibility. We've chosen the typography or the font, and we've set the different sizing, the H1, H2, H3, and the paragraph. And lastly, we've picked a theme that we're going to use to build out the website. Make sure you click the subscribe button, and if you want to be notified for when that next video is going to be released, then make sure you click the bell icon as well. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I see you in the next video. Bye for now.